Welcome y bienvenidos to this episode of the Cultural Capacity Podcast. I'm your hostess and guide for this episode, Justine Gonzalez. Let's hop into it. Now, a few weeks ago, if you watched, I did a very short episode. Yes, I have a pen with a pearl on it because I'm going to give you some pearls of wisdoms today. If you are listening via Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, etc., all of our podcast outlets, please remember in the show notes, we do want you to come hit subscribe over here on our YouTube. You can see if we have guests. I'm super excited because even as this episode is releasing, I've just had some incredible featured voices interviews, and we have so many more lined up going into 2024 for you. So if you are new to the Cultural Capacity Podcast, welcome, welcome. Our goal is to get compassionately curious together here on this podcast. Most of our episodes are going to focus on one question, which we dive deep with. Once a month, you also get one focused specifically on workplace wellness with our resident nurse, my sister, but she's also part of the Educator Aid Network and previously served for nearly 20 years as a nurse. Has also served on numerous nonprofit boards. She's a school board member, but she has a unique perspective to offer, not only as a professional, but as a mother as well of school-aged children. I say all of this to say, make sure you're going back and checking out through your subscriptions, all of our content. Okay, but let's hop into it. If you see me looking down, it's because I noted some things that I'm going to be speaking to, but you may have remembered there were some shorts. There was about a 2 or 3 minute little video kind of teaser a couple of weeks ago. You can go back and look at it if you want, but it was called Work Less and Become More Successful, something along those lines of working less, to become more successful. And so this episode is all about how do I do that? How do I actually do that? One of the inspirations for that I referenced, and I'm going to grab right here on my desk for you all, was Timothy Ferriss's, didn't mean that to say that, Timothy Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week. And so you can go back and check that out if you want, but just a very short episode on working less and actually be earning more and becoming more successful. But here is where the full episode comes in. I told you I would do a full workshop on this, and we'll talk here for about 15 or 20 minutes, but I want to give you all some tangibles to actually put into practice in this episode, partly because as we, towards the end of the month episodes, they're always about how do we reflect on our learnings that month. And so I want to give you something tangible to actually practice with. So bear with me here, but I am going to share some affirmations. If you are driving, do not close your eyes. And if you need to hit pause and re-engage this or bookmark this for later, please do so, because these are maybe some things actually that this portion of it you want to play in the mornings while you get ready, or you want to play in the evenings before you go to bed. So I am going to pause. We might parcel this into a separate thing. And if you tell us in the comments you want that, we can just do a separate video for you all of just this portion that I'm about to record. So we'll see what you all let us know with feedback. But either way, let's queue up and get ready. One thing that I'm a big believer in and that I want to address with this episode about working less and becoming more successful is so much of the work that we do and the goals that we have, be they professional or personal, have to do with how we understand ourselves. And if you haven't noticed yet, this podcast and our network and our team, our channel, our mission to help individuals and organizations discover more about who they are and how they communicate with others around them, specifically cross-culturally. That's what we're about. We are about understanding ourselves. And today I sit before you and I have to tell you a hard truth. I can't make you do that, but I can provide a multitude of ways that hopefully help you start exploring yourself in a little bit more deeply introspective ways. So today, I had to share with you some self-worth affirmations that align with your soul path. And this is very, very important to me personally in my own journey. I realized going into entrepreneurship that I had a lot of self-worth wounds that I needed to work on, things I still work on a lot. with perhaps people-pleasing tendencies underneath some of those things. And so if this resonates for you, I do want you to lean in. I want you to give it a chance, and also consider who you might share this with, because we can lay out the best 4-hour work week. We can lay out goals and plans and vision boards for a new year, whatever the thing is. But underneath that, if we don't have the driving belief that we are really worthy, are you worthy? Yes, you are. You are worthy. And you're worthy simply because you exist, not because you have to do something to earn, but because you need to tap into who you are and who you're designed to be in alignment with your soul purpose here. And because I get the pleasure of working with a lot of different types of organizations, a lot of different structures, lots of different organizational charts, so to speak, I see this show up, whether it's in the CEO or founder who's making tens of millions of dollars every year through their organization, just as much as I see it with the entrepreneur who's just starting out. So if we don't address these things, they just become dressed up a little bit more. I'll give you a tangible example. Sometimes we see, for example, a professional athlete or an actor or actress who gets in the news. And the reality is, a lot of times money makes us a lot more of who we are. That can be good or bad. That can be positive or negative. But it's something to remember with self-worth, because it's the belief in, are we worthy of fill in the blank, this job, this relationship, this meal, whatever the thing is. Sometimes we get programmed to think that the more I work hard or the more time and hours I put in, the more I'm going to get back. And that's not a formula that's going to turn up winning for anybody. And not because hard work isn't something you should do, according to your own definitions and what makes sense for you. What I'm encouraging you to do is really have an examination of your self-worth. So that's what I'm going to lay out in these affirmations. For me, affirmations have been pivotal, and I'll share very briefly. I'll share a link in this episode too. I have gotten the opportunity to work with a lot of different healing modalities, specifically over the past 8 years or so. And that has involved clinical therapists, that has involved a hypnotherapist who I love and adore. That's who I'm linking below. And also some other people in the spiritual world. So if you have questions about that, or you want to hear about my experiences, I am more than willing to share. I have worked with some shamans from different continents, and some different modalities over time. I am an open book when it comes to these things, because I don't think that we are meant to live life where it doesn't integrate, meaning our body, soul, mind, spirit, all of these pieces, the mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual. I believe our job is to figure out how these things intertwine for each of us uniquely. And this does go back to getting to know ourselves. So if you're in a place where you can sit and you can absorb these affirmations, I'm going to speak them out loud. They were actually something I authored at the beginning of 2023. And at the beginning of 2023, I said to myself, what do I want to embody more of in 2023? And I wanted to embody more ease. I wanted to experience more ease, and not constantly be drawn to the struggle and the working hard and I got to do this and then I can get this. So I've done a lot of reprogramming. And when you hear me use that term, it is because I have activated things like customized affirmations that I listen back to, that I help co-create with my hypnotherapists. And these are proven, not only cultural neuroscience, but scientific methods of neuroscience. To me, these are also cultural things that if we don't accept different ways and pathways, modalities to healing, then we do ourselves a disservice. And we say, well, I didn't find a therapist that worked. Well, maybe there's a mentor out there for you that's a pastor. Maybe there's a hypnotherapist that you need to speak with, or maybe you need to try different things than maybe what you've been taught about, maybe what you've been shown in your life, in your world. So what I ask is that when you engage with these types of practices or all of our episodes here, that you simply come with an open mind and heart. That's all that we can ask of you. So I thank you for being here. And then as I'm done with the affirmations, we'll close out. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, regardless of the platform you're on. And let's continue to get compassionately curious. These are self-worth affirmations to align with your soul path. I'll start with a truth. There's 3 truths, and then there's a couple affirmations with each of those 3 truths. The first one is this: you create your reality. Your success is informed by your level of belief. Repeat after me. I create my reality. My success is informed by my level of belief. How big is your vision for your life? Only as big as your view of the world. Repeat after me. My heart is open to learning new ways of being. I attract aligned opportunities that support my soul path. And if you need to pause and review and go back and write, please do. Finally, we are meant to learn, expand, and evolve together, however that may look for your soul's unique path. And here's 3 affirmations for you with that same topic. I am destined to expand and evolve to my highest self. I am meant to be part of intentional communities. I hold all the keys within me to unlock my highest self. Okay, so those are some broad ones, and I did them topically. If you want more like this, or you want to engage in different ways, please leave comments below. Please give us a great review. If you're having a good experience with this, let us know how this is working for you. I do always encourage people. It's similar to when you start taking, maybe incorporating more herbal supplements into your diet. They're not an overnight thing. So it's not tomorrow that I can go scrounge up some mullein and milk thistle and cat's claw, and I'm a brand new person in 24 hours, just take those supplements. These often are taking months to show up as our normal part of our body and being, and helping in the repair. Similarly with mind and spirit things like affirmations, this is why it's important to have the practices daily. It's as simple as, if I say I want to be a bodybuilder, and then I read a book about weights and I purchase weights, but all I do is stare at them. I'm giving you some activity today that you can implement by journaling the things I said, by saying them out loud, whatever speaks to you, by listening to them as you fall asleep. So we will, again, if we get feedback that you all want it, we could make this just an audio track of just the affirmations. But I have found these to be especially helpful when you are in a journey of discovering your own worth. And sometimes when we do deep healing work, or in my spaces, it's often inner child work, culturally responsive engagement work, whatever these things are, where you're learning more about deeply who you are, you're going to unearth some things that you might not like. And that can play a little bit with your belief about yourself and who you are. So these affirmations are tools to help you imprint your brain with a new way of thinking. And that new way of thinking is exactly what I outlined, that you hold the keys ultimately. It's not you pointing a finger, it's somebody else's fault. You hold the keys actually to look for your soul's unique path and learn and expand and evolve on that path. You are the one who holds the keys to that. You are also the one who creates your reality. And your success really is informed by what you believe. There's actually an entire study and a large body of work. It's known as the Rosenthal theory, I believe. But Dr. Rosenthal was a person who he heavily researched, and he specifically did it in K-12 schools, I believe, but he was examining teacher beliefs in student performance. And what he found over and over and over again is that those teachers who believed a certain level, which we all do, but they believed a certain level of achievement, those students that they believed it about, they achieved right there or below. For if they believed this level of achievement for a student, they were right there or below. So the Rosenthal theory is also known as the Pygmalion effect of we commonly exceed only the bar that we set for ourselves. So belief is so powerful. If you already go into something like listening to a podcast and you believe, well, I'll never change, I'll just be the same, you probably won't, because you believe you won't change. So I'm putting that out there just to remind us that cultural element of beliefs is such a driving force between that drives our norms, our values, how we operate, how we communicate, how we handle conflict. And I want to make that very clear, which is why affirmations themselves are all about if you actually believe these things for yourself. That is another thing I would caution you on, is some people, similar to the example I gave about herbal supplements or working out, they often might start something and they say, well, I did it for 5 days. I'm still thinking negatively about myself. Let me be very honest. We didn't get to our way of thinking in one day. This is often years and years and years of built up schooling, religious associations, parents, family structure, environments, and then what the work is that we've decided to do to become more aware of how we're operating, how we're living in the world, how we're thriving. So to close this out is, again, let us know in the comments if you want an audio only version of just affirmations or just a video with just those affirmations. We can absolutely do that for you all. But these were my specific affirmations that I also wrote. But this was because my goal was I wanted to embody more ease in 2023. So feel free to adopt or shift any of them for your own purposes if they make sense for you. My life gets to be exceedingly and abundantly better than I can even imagine. My radical faith sows seeds of prosperity. My creativity grows a harvest of generational wealth. And my life gets to be easy and pleasurable because I decide this each day. I hope that this was helpful in some way to some of our subscribers and listeners. I hope that you understand my passion behind unpacking our belief systems, because it's so heavily tied to how we communicate, how we manage conflict, how we interact with others, and essentially our path in this life. So I hope you take advantage of some of these affirmations that I spent quite a bit of time journaling out for myself and implementing all throughout 2023 to really work on my own concepts of what do I actually believe is possible for me when it comes to my worth, and what do I believe that I'm really worthy of. And I will tell you, 6 years ago, it was starting with journaling, I am enough, every day, sometimes 20 times, just writing it. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. Another episode for another day, but that is actually a specific, that's who I need to have on. I'll have on my hypnotherapist as a future voice. But there's very specific neural pathway things happening in our brains for us to actually take that approach with some programming that we have. So there's intentionality behind even journaling something like I am enough every day, because it becomes your go-to. So I would find myself at those moments 6 or 7 years ago, if I was in financial distress, for example, or having some financial hardships, that is what my go-to would be. Instead of getting an anxiety or panic attack, I would then find myself going, I am enough, I have enough. I am enough, I have enough. And that might sound ridiculous to many of you, maybe not. Tell me about your experiences with affirmations. But it all goes back to the belief that I hold and the intention I set underneath implementing those affirmations, whether it's in daily journaling and writing, speaking it into the mirror, or just saying them out loud or listening to them as you wake up or fall asleep. So let me know what you find out about yourself, and let's continue to get compassionately curious together. Take care.